Hello, good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Thanks for joining in today. Today we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, talking about what are the 12 essential markers of a successful digital marketing campaign. And yesterday we kind of talked about just defining your social media, defining what digital media means to you, and what are measurements, how do you involve your planning, several key markers. So today we want to really dive into the last six, and I'm excited to talk about this because this part of the equation and this part of the marker set is really what is going to make a difference for you in 2019. So I think, first of all, the next question you need to ask yourself in preparing for and identifying these essential markers is, what are the challenges that are going to impact your digital media planning? And I think that one of the things that we see is really critical is making sure that we understand the psychographics of our target audience and trying to make sure that we identify that in our planning process. And that sort of, has a domino effect of the type of creative that we're going to put together. We've talked a lot before on the podcast video about the fact that a lot of companies make the mistake of coming from a TV commercial mindset where we create this singular piece of creative and then try to broadcast that out to the masses. Instead of breaking down our message into segmented components that will reach very specific demographic, psychographic, and geographic tailored information and motivations to our target audience. And I think that is absolutely the greatest challenge, because it means you're putting more work into planning the campaign. It means you're putting more work into thinking about how are individuals, very, very specific individuals, going to respond to this creative. Not only the text, which is often just mailed in by a lot of businesses. They just kind of slap it up there. I think a lot of businesses do take the time to think about and critique the visual components, but I think that they make the mistake of just kind of, once they've done the visual part, they just kind of mail in the text component of that. So that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. I think the next marker, marker number 8, would be, how important is email marketing in today's digital marketing plan? And it's absolutely essential. Here's something you need to think about. So if you're putting all of your eggs in the Facebook basket or the Instagram basket or the LinkedIn basket or YouTube pre-roll basket, understand that all of that information that happens on that platform is not your data. It's third-party data. It belongs to someone else. So what we need to make sure we understand is, if tomorrow, let's say today, we're winning on Facebook and we're winning on Instagram and we're winning on Twitter, we're really just crushing it on all the channels, on all the platform. If those platforms were to go down, just be annihilated for whatever reason, all of the data and all of those target audiences and all of that information would be lost. So I think smart businesses understand that you need to have your own data, or what's known as first party data, meaning you own the information. So I think that that's really critical in building your list. The days of email marketing are not dead, but you do need to be creative and you do need to be protective of that information. But it's absolutely essential. So I think email marketing is a huge part and a core, and definitely one of the 12 essential markers. Number 9, how important is social media? Well, I think, we if we haven't hammered it home long enough, I think we should. I heard an episode, or I watched an episode yesterday of Gary Vaynerchuk, where he was talking about the fact that so many people want to know, well, what's next? What's going to be the next thing? And we want to get ahead. We want to get a jump on the curve. The problem is, so many companies don't even have a handle on what's right now. I mean, they're complaining about how Facebook doesn't work. And they're not really a practitioner of Instagram, and they've not been on their LinkedIn account in the last 2 years. Meanwhile, both of those platforms are providing extremely underpriced attention when it comes to content marketing and digital branding at scale on those platforms. So social media is incredibly important. I think we talked about it yesterday with the power and influence of influencers on these platforms, the one-to-one, attack method and strategy of getting the word out about your product or service is really critical. So I think social media is here to stay. Here's the thing, guys. There's no doubt in my mind that, it could be 5, 6, 7 years from now. I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't be putting your money on Facebook because it's overpriced. And by that time, what's going to happen is you're going to have the Mercedes-Benz, the Nike, the big boy chips, who are going to come in, and they are going to put down serious money on advertising, and it's going to price small businesses and even healthy businesses that are maybe in the $2 million to $10 million a year revenue stream. They're going to get priced out, and you're not going to be able to afford to run ads on Facebook anymore, because what you're paying right now at 1 and 2 cents per engagement is going to be somewhere in the $3 to $4 to $5 per engagement, and you're not going to be able to play. It's for the same reason why small businesses can't afford to run a Super Bowl commercial. It's that same scale of economy. However, while that's happening, it's always cat and mouse, right? There's always going to be something else there's going to be underpriced attention in another media, in another format, whether it's social media, whether it's AR, whether it's VR, whether it's voice. I mean, there's always going to be something that we as a society gravitate to consume content. So, but social is absolutely critical, essential marker of a successful digital marketing plan. How does your web presence, how does your website impact your digital media, and what changes have we seen, and what's the value? So I think, again, going back to the first point that we talked about, or the second one where we talked about email marketing and first-party data, your website is a critical part of that, right? So if you don't have specific areas of your website where you are providing value to those visitors in a way that, no matter if they're on their phone or on their desktop, make sure that their experience is optimal. Yes, mobile first is the way that Google is indexing their information and providing the results, because they know that it was reported, and they reported in 2016 the shift in the amount of searches that were done on their platform. The shift went to 51% were done via a mobile device, and that number's continued to grow. So we know that mobile's important, but just because that's the case, don't underestimate. I was working with a company in the IT space who primarily provides services in a 9-to-5 business setting. Aegis Business Technology is the group I'm referring to. I was working with them, and we were looking at their Google Analytics, and we noticed that nearly 70%, 60-something percent, 69, 68% of their clients that visit their website are doing so from a desktop. Well, that makes sense, because that, the person that is the business who's looking into outsourcing or looking for an IT provider, they're at their desk working on their desktop, and they're looking up and trying to find information about this business. So it makes sense that their website, that homepage, is really optimized for a desktop experience. But if I am a hospitality bar or restaurant, or if I am definitely a place where there's business taking place after business hours, and that's a primary piece of my business and traffic, then absolutely mobile is gonna flip-flop, right? You're only gonna have like 30% of your people that are gonna visit your website during business hours, and then after business hours, you're gonna see a spike in mobile viewership and readership on your website. So it's not a one-size-fits-all rule, but what is a rule is to make sure that you understand your client and how they want to access and find information on your website, and make sure that it is responsive to the device that's viewing the site. So I think that's really critical. The other thing, the marker number 11 is really how important is measurement in real time right now. And I think what's undervalued and underappreciated right now when it comes to measurement, we talked about it yesterday, the difference between qualitative and quantitative, but I want to reemphasize that when you break down real time, I think a lot of people need to think about engagement, especially on social media, especially in instant chat functionality on your website. The ability for you to respond and report in real time is now more readily accepted, and also really people are looking for it. I mean, when you're looking for a car online, or you're looking at a house online, it's really refreshing to have a company that has an automated chat feature where you can ask questions without having to get on the phone, even if it's 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or whatever, after hours. So that real-time engagement, and then the measurements behind that, do you have a CRM system or a customer relationship management system that you can then take that information, measure the effectiveness? Did they take the next step in the customer journey as it relates to your product and services? Are you thinking about that? Are you measuring that? Because those are the types of services that really are a core marker when planning a successful digital marketing campaign in 2019. Lastly, I think it's absolutely important. I think there's been a lot of talk about content marketing, and the problem with most people's understanding of content marketing is they think that it's focused around a single piece of content, right? Like I have a white paper, it's the content marketing, or it's an infographic, and that's the particular content marketing. What we need to do to really understand why this is an essential marker for digital marketing campaigns is you need to think about your content at scale that's broken down into individualized, segmented content. Guys, I'm going to continue to beat this drum until I finally get some people that raise their hand and say, yes, I get it. Think about it, guys. My Pandora channel is not like your Pandora channel. My Netflix recommended movies is not the same as yours. As a society, we are consuming content based on our own personal preferences. So why in the world would we as marketers and as businesses continue to try to market our business with a singular, generalized message to reach the masses when that's no longer necessary? We don't have to do that anymore. We can actually break down the motivators, the whys, the whens, the hows of when I want to make a decision, what's keeping me. If I'm thinking about retirement, what's the trigger? If I'm a financial advisor and I'm thinking about retirement, and I serve people who think about their retirement, what are those triggers? Are they, are they worried about when, if their spouse is really ill? and they're worried about, are they going to be able to take care of things when their spouse is gone? Well, then how would you create creative to then present to them to say, we understand that that's important to you. We know that you're worried about, do you have enough? And are you equipped to make those decisions if your significant other should pass? And that's a reality. We know that's something you're thinking about. You can get very granular into your messaging and your content. And that, my friends, I think is what we need to think about when it comes to content marketing. It's digital content at scale, and that content is contextual to the end user based on their motivations and what prompts them to take action, and what keeps them up at night when they think about the product or services that you have to offer. So guys, I want to thank you so much for chiming in over the last couple of days and listening to me sort of rattle off these 12 what I think are essential essential markers, right? That you can flags that you can plant in the ground and say, I've got to have this if I'm going to have a successful digital marketing campaign in 2019. So quick recap of what those 12 things are. Number one, make sure that your digital media channels are defined. Number two, what channels are you on? Where do you need to be active in those digital channels? Number three, how is that media going to play a role in the plan very specifically? Number four would be understanding how the media has changed over the last decade as well as in the last 18 months, and make sure you incorporate that into your plan. Number five, make sure that you at least are aware of what is happening and new things. So again, to recap on that, yes, you should have, right now, you should have 80 to 70% of your activities, Facebook, Instagram, right? And then allow another 20, say 30% of what you're doing in Snapchat and LinkedIn and YouTube pre-roll and podcast pre-roll. Those are kind of those new and up and coming things, but definitely sink heavy investment in that underpriced media. Number six, how is your digital media going to be measured for effectiveness? And we talked about quantitative and qualitative information. And then today, just recapping the challenges that we face when it comes to digital media planning. Again, we're breaking that down into demographic, psychographic, and geographic information for our target audience. And then the importance of email marketing and first-party data absolutely needs to be on your radar. It's a core component. Don't rely upon that information that Facebook has or Instagram has about your users. Make sure that you are capturing that in your own database or your own CRM system so that you own the data. What is the importance of social media? I think we've talked about that in depth, so we know where we are on that. Your website and how important that is, that's very critical. And thinking about your website, thinking about your visitors and how they interact with your content, whether they're on a desktop or mobile device, is critical. And then the last 2 points of the 12 essential markers are engagement in real time. So there we're talking about comments and instant chat features, ways that we can engage in real time and then have measurements and processes behind that capability. And lastly, guys, number 12, and if not the most important one of all, is content marketing is not about a single piece of content. It's about your collective amount of content, your digital at scale, but then is broken down into all those individualized and segmented pieces of content that each individual, like Michael will like it, Rick will like it, Jeremy will like it, Chris will like it. Like, it's broken down for each person and what's important to them. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I know I have. I'm looking forward to a nice weekend, but I can't wait to get back in here on Monday and share with you guys more important ideas and tips to help make sure you maximize your digital marketing. Again, my name is Michael Wynn. I am the Chief Digital Officer at Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. We'll catch you guys next week. Take care.